So when you look at that conversation with Varoufakis and Sachs, it's really a deep dive into the self-destruction of Western policy. They lay out a pretty stark vision of Europe's
Absolutely.
collapse and the geopolitical chaos unfolding right now.
Yep, and it's wild how Sachs argues that the Ukraine war itself was engineered by decades of US led NATO expansion, which really flips the usual narrative on its head.
Exactly. It's like they're saying that the current conflict isn't just a local issue. It's a symptom of systemic issues built over 30 years. The way
Right,
they
truly.
connect NATO's expansion directly to provoking the war is really provocative.
I mean, can you imagine? After decades of what we considered security measures, now it seems those same moves are being held responsible for so much instability? Yeah,
And there's this interesting point about European leaders. Sachs describes their arrogance in a way that paints a picture of complacency or hubris under pressure.
exactly.
It almost feels like they were so caught up in their own blind spots, they didn't see the collision course coming.
True. And then you have this twist on Trump's exit from these geopolitical entanglements. While he was known for his unorthodox economic maneuvers, sort of a poker game in his own right, it seems his approach might have inadvertently set off some of these chain reactions. Yeah, it's a real conundrum, right?
Right, exactly. It's like his economic strategy, which some called a poker game, ended up revealing some fatal flaws in Western policy.
So true.
There's this notion that with Trump stepping back, Europe is now on a self-destructive path, doubling down on conflicts they perhaps should have reined in long ago.
And that feeds right into the bigger picture Sachs paints about the imminent end of the US dollar's global dominance, doesn't it? Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty bold claim that the US has abused its power to such an extent that with China's rise on the horizon, the entire system could collapse.
Right,
The
it's like
narrative
watching a
taps into
slow-motion
the
train wreck.
anxiety over shifting global power balances.
And I think Sachs is really vocal about the repercussions of continuing this self-destructive policy path. But I wonder, is it entirely fair to pin all these issues on NATO expansion alone?
That's a sharp observation. It's a point worth challenging a bit. I mean, while NATO's expansion is undoubtedly a significant factor, the critique might oversimplify a lot of the multi-layered causes behind these crises. It's a
see your angle
complex
there.
web of economic, political, and historical factors, not just a single policy misstep.
Absolutely, yeah. Even though Sachs's focus on NATO and the US-led agenda is compelling, it might not fully address internal European issues or the broader global dynamics. Yeah, true, it's a bit one-sided sometimes.
Right. It's like while his arguments are magnetic and present a clear narrative, they do sometimes, gloss over the nuance. Yet that boldness in interpretation is exactly what makes the conversation so engaging.
For sure. And speaking of bold, the way the discussion touches on the eventual decline of the US dollar's exorbitant privilege, that's a term loaded with implications, is just electrifying. Electrifying indeed.
Yes, the idea that America's economic clout could crumble because of its own overreach paired with China's ascendancy is like a crescendo in a geopolitical symphony.
Right, like the climax of
It's
a movie.
both fascinating and quite unnerving.
And let's not forget, this conversation isn't just academic, it resonates with current events, with the Ukraine war being the most immediate flashpoint, right? Exactly. Very much the here and now.
Precisely. The Ukraine conflict is portrayed as not just a regional crisis, but as a manifestation of the larger systemic issues. It's almost as if the war is the boiling point in a pot that's been heating up for decades.
A perfect storm of global tensions, yeah. And interestingly, Varoufakis, as the moderator, brings out these stark perspectives in a very dynamic way. His approach feels both confrontational and insightful, pushing the conversation beyond the conventional narratives. Right? His style really sets the tone.
That's true. His role in steering the dialogue ensures that no obvious truths are left unchallenged. It's like stirring the pot to ensure all the raw ingredients, historical missteps, policy failures, economic imbalances, are all on display.
Yeah, definitely stirring things up. There's also this element of urgency in Sachs's critique that suggests that if these trends continue, we might see a complete societal and economic toppling of the West. That's a pretty dire forecast. A stark warning indeed.
Right, it's almost like a wake up call. The entire discussion screams that we're not on a steady course anymore, but careening towards a collapse unless significant changes are made.
Yes, a wake up call we might all be ignoring. It really makes you think about how history is made, doesn't it? I mean, if a few strategic choices over the decades can lead to something like this, what does that say about the future of global governance? Yeah, it ends up being a sobering reflection.
Absolutely. And speaking of future, there's that interesting subtext concerning the rise of China. It's like while the West is self sabotaging, China is positioning itself to take over economically and
It's a
geopolitically.
dramatic reversal. And you know, that notion of the end of American unilateralism, it's basically suggesting that the old guard is uh, finally making way for a multipolar world. Yeah, a world where power is more diffused.
Exactly. The conversation really beckons us to re examine the structures and assumptions we've long taken for granted about global order.
Right, those fundamental assumptions are coming under fire. Though I've got to ask, doesn't it seem a bit conspiratorial at times to tie every major crisis back to a single, albeit powerful narrative? It's a bit sweeping sometimes.
Well, that's a fair critique. I mean, while the narrative is compelling and dramatically framed, real world complexities rarely fit neatly into one storyline.
Complexity is the
However,
norm.
the force of their argument lies in its ability to challenge the status quo and force us to grapple with uncomfortable truths.
Definitely. And the strong language, terms like self destruction, serves as a rallying cry, even if it simplifies some nuances. Yeah, it certainly grabs your attention.
Absolutely. It's like using a sledgehammer to emphasize the gravity of the situation, even though it might miss some detailed precision at times.
A bold but broad stroke. And that dramatic framing, it also influences public opinion and policy debates, doesn't it? I mean, if leaders start to see themselves as participants in a self destructive game, that could spur drastic measures, right? It could force a rethinking of strategy.
Exactly. It's both a mirror and a magnifying glass, a way to reflect on current policies and amplify their potential consequences.
Yes, a potent mix for sure. And this interplay between economic policy, military alliances, and national interests, it's like a chess game with very high stakes. Every move counts.
Right. And Sachs's point about Trump's economic poker game underscores how even high risk strategies in economics can have far reaching fallout. It's like a gamble that might have restored balance, but instead contributed to
Yeah,
a
that
deeper
miscalculation
crisis.
resonates. Which ultimately brings us back to the broader theme, the self destructive path of Western powers. It's a mix of arrogance, flawed strategies, and a failure to adapt to a rapidly changing global environment. Definitely a perfect storm of missteps.
Precisely, and it's a potent reminder that the old models of governance and economic dominance are not invincible. They're vulnerable to internal decay if they don't adapt.
Evolution is necessary. And that makes for a really engaging, if somewhat unsettling conversation. It's like the calm before an inevitable storm that's been building for decades. Yeah, a storm that we're all witnessing unfold.
Absolutely. It challenges not only policymakers but also all of us to rethink our assumptions about how global power and economic stability should be maintained.
Right? It's a call to re examine everything. All in all, it's a conversation that rattles the cage of conventional belief, urging a more critical inspection of the categories we use to understand power, policy, and progress. Really shakes things up.
Exactly. And while some may find the narrative a bit extreme or oversimplified, the urgent tone certainly drives home the message that complacency could very well be our downfall.
Yes, a wake up call that we can't easily ignore. Well said. It's a reminder that our current geopolitical order is anything but stable, and that critical conversation like this is essential for charting a more balanced future. Absolutely. Striking insights indeed.